Support for Radio Friends comes from RoseHeart Hypnotherapy, serving Central Missouri since 2007. They specialize in pain management, pre- and post-medical procedures, fears, phobias, and increasing performance and success in every area of life. Athletes needing sports hypnosis to improve their ability will be pleased to know that RoseHeart Hypnotherapy specializes in neurofeedback and is the only certified OptiBrain train and golf practitioner in Missouri. Call RoseHeart Hypnotherapy at 888-604-9997 or visit mohyp.com and experience true success. Good morning and welcome to Radio Friends on Friday, July 27th. A pleasure to have you with us today. I've got one of the most interesting people that you can sit down and have a conversation with almost about anything. Dr. David Newman, RoseHeart Hypnotherapy Success Center. Good to have you here.
Thank you. That was a great intro. I love that.
Well, it's true. It's true. I can sit down and talk to you about almost anything. But you came in today. We said, well, what do we want to talk about? And the first thing that popped in my head was let's talk about making decisions dealing with emotions,
right,
or going with our gut feeling. Mm-hmm. Is that the same or is it separate?
They're kind of related. They are separate, but they are kind of related. And if you remember, probably when you were a kid trying to stay awake in ancient history class, the Greeks talked about the muse, and the creative people would have this god, the muse, and the muse would come and give you this inspiration and everything. And what would usually happen, she would have an idea here, and you would almost clearly see every step that you had to make it happen, and then go. Michelangelo once said, on carving out a statue, he said, it's simple. I just remove everything that just doesn't look like this. Now, that's very, very simplistic, but for most of us, we look at a block of stone and we see a block of stone. He saw something inside that block of stone.
So Michelangelo said he removes everything from that piece of stone that doesn't look like
right. What he said was that a piece of stone has a work of art inside it, and his job was to see it. Once he saw it, he removed every bit of stone that wasn't part of that work of art, and the work of art was what was inside. Now, that's a very simplistic way of putting it, but it's a very complicated process. But he had it, and for him, it was just that simple. That's the muse, and what you're talking about is like the muse. I get this clear vision of what I want to do, and everything's laid out. And then you start implementing that plan, and if it was really the right decision, it comes very, very quickly, and it's pretty easy all the way through.
Right, you get green light all along the way.
And when you make a decision that's not exactly the best way for you, now this is the subconscious coming back in, that's not the way that it's really best for you, you'll start getting roadblocks hit there, and you have to work around the roadblocks. Doesn't mean the decision was bad. It could be. Just the way that you were going to go about making that decision into reality wasn't the best way to do it.
I have found, and this is just me, that if I'm fed a message from somewhere, sometimes it'll just come out of clear blue.
Yep.
And, that sounds good. I'm going to try that. And then if I start working on it, I will get more information. Just comes to me through my subconscious.
That's right.
If, as I'm going down that path, I get green lights, it all comes together nice and fast. But if roadblocks are thrown up, I think to myself, well, maybe this isn't right. Maybe this is not for me.
And then a lot of us have a tendency to overanalyze it at that point, and usually the project will die, or we'll put it on the back burner or something like that.
So how does this happen to us?
Which part?
Well, getting the messages and then things falling into place.
Getting the messages, I don't have a clue. The muse is out there, and the muse comes down there and does whatever it is that the muse does.
But you do believe that it happens.
Oh, I know it happens. It happens with me every day. But, I get a lot of ideas from therapies. Literally, I'll be working on something, and all of a sudden this idea will pop in, and now I have to analyze that idea and figure out how to do it and actually implement it, and I begin implementing it, getting the results that I want, and then it starts building from there.
But how do people realize and understand that sometimes they need to go with their gut feeling on things?
That's a learned behavior, and that really comes in when you were a kid all the way up to age 14. If you kind of went with that gut feeling.
A hunch.
Yeah, a hunch.
My mom used to say, I had a hunch about this.
Yeah.
Let's try it. And usually when she had her hunches,
It worked.
It worked. Yeah.
Well, see, there as a child, you were already learning to trust your gut, to trust that hunch. But sometimes kids will come into families where they don't. And so they'll try something. They'll have a gut feeling about something, and it doesn't work. Oh, that gets cemented in the subconscious too. And then we get the people that start resisting all their hunches. And they'll have a hunch to do this. They don't do it, and then they realize, well, I should have done that. But it happens.
So listen, we need to learn to listen to our subconscious.
Oh, yeah.
On this. But now, how do you separate the emotion from that?
That's a little bit more complicated. But the easiest way that I found to do it, is like I mentioned before this show, is I follow my dad's advice. I take out a sheet of paper and I write down what it is I want to do. And then I write down every possible thing that could go wrong if I do this. Okay? Doesn't mean it's bad, just everything that could go wrong. And when I've got everything down that I can possibly think of, I look at it, I read it, I contemplate it, and then I ask myself, if all of these things were to happen, could I live with that? And if I could, I'll implement the decision immediately. If I couldn't, I'll back away from it. And that's just the way that I do it. And that separates the emotion, because now I'm just making a logical, rational, and reasonable decision. If all of these things were to go wrong and 100 people were to die, could I live with that? Probably not. So I'm not going to do it. But if everything goes wrong and there's still a benefit here, could I go with it? Well, probably so, and I'll do it.
Yeah. Do you think most of us listen to that small inner voice, or do you think we've just discarded that?
I think most of us discard it, and we listen to what our friends, our neighbors, our families say.
And what we're being bombarded with.
And what we're being bombarded with, yeah.
How do we haven't got much time left, but how do we train ourselves and learn to listen to that inner voice of ours?
If you're a parent, I'd say really encourage your kids to listen to that inner voice and encourage them to come up and talk to you about it. And no matter what it is, don't ridicule them. Listen to it. Yeah, okay, now that's a good idea. Now let's start looking at some other things here and kind of expand on it. But don't criticize. Because learning to trust yourself really happens in childhood all the way up. As an adult, it's much more complicated, but you can do it. It just takes practice.
And sometimes something will just pop into your mind, pop into your head, out of the clear blue.
Sure.
And, wow, I've never thought of that before, but that's kind of interesting. Maybe I'll act on this. And then if you decide you're going to act on it and things start working out the way they should, go for it.
Absolutely. And the other thing that I would encourage people to do is like carry a little voice recorder or something, because at least with me, when I get those, what I refer to as golden gems, they fleet very, very quickly. If I don't write them down or act on it immediately, if I'm in the car driving and I get this idea, by the time I get to my destination, it's gone.
All right. If you want more ideas like this, you can contact Dr. David Newman, RoseHeart Hypnotherapy Success Center. And how do they get in touch with you?
You can go to our website at www.mohyp.com or give me a call, 888-604-9997, extension 3.
Yeah, a really interesting guy to talk with. And the important thing is learn to listen to our gut feelings.
Absolutely.
All right. Dr. David Newman, thank you so much for coming by. It's always a pleasure having you here. Monday, Alzheimer's Association. See you then. Bye-bye.